Hi, welcome to NJ Press Pass. I'm Carly Romalino, reporter with the Courier Post. And today you're borrowing my press credentials to talk directly to South Jersey's kindest neighbors who I have with me here today. Today's chat is about charity. So with unemployment still really high as the pandemic continues, we need each other more than ever. So my guests today are neighborhood helpers. I have Dan Lombardo. He's the CEO of Volunteers of America, Delaware Valley. Hello.
Hello.
I also have Dave Cornwell, a Camden County carpenter who started the Friends of Clementon Food Pantry that's fed more than 10,000 people in 6 towns in the last several months. And my favorite, Celeste Whittaker, a veteran reporter with the Courier Post. She's been a sports reporter, a Metro reporter, and now she's a features writer for our Northeast sites. And she's been in touch with a countless number of kind helpers in South Jersey, just like you. And she's working to tell all of your stories. So thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks for joining me virtually.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much.
If you've done a good deed for somebody else in the last couple months, we'd love to hear about it in the comments and share. I'm actually going to be doing a really heartfelt wrap-up file just to share everybody's deeds that they've done, not just in the holiday season, but all year round. So if there's something that you're into, let us know in the comments and we'll give you a nice applause and shout out. And I want to start with some of the inspiration that we've already gotten. I asked on social media, our NJ Press Pass Insiders group, I asked, what acts of kindness have you done for each other over the last couple months? And South Jersey, I'm sure you guys see this all the time, and Celeste writing about it. South Jersey's ability to find ways to help each other is really surprising and really sweet. And there's such interesting projects that have come about. So Sharon Colgate in Haddon Heights, her daughter really wanted to give her a shout out because she, quote, helps people by working as a palliative care nurse practitioner. She comforts COVID patients and others, as well as their families in their darkest times. She gives care, but also empathy and love. So that was really nice. And some more inspiration to get us going. Shannon Pollard in Deptford. She wrote me yesterday saying she's volunteered at Macedonia Church in Westville 5 to 6 days a week before the pandemic. And COVID-19 has stopped most volunteerism at Unforgotten Haven in Blackwood and Joseph's House in Camden. And they're places for the homeless to have meals and sleep. And she said they aren't allowing volunteers. So whenever I have to drive to Camden with my daughter, whenever I have food, I drive to Camden with my daughter and hand out food weekly to people living in Tent City. So how do you guys feel about these stories just to start off with? I know I feel like maybe I'm not doing enough.
That's great. I just want to say one thing about Unforgotten Haven. They are volunteering. They have volunteers again. During the time of COVID, a lot of their volunteers had cut down, and Michelle Gambone, the founder, and her partner, Jean Rodriguez, they were there pretty much doing a lot of it on their own, but they have over 40 volunteers back and like 21 managers, and they have helped over 1 million people as well as animals in their 6 years that they've existed. So they are back pretty strong now.
So Celeste, in writing these stories, you have a story out this week, and it's a bunch of good deeds. What are some of your favorite volunteer stories that you've written about in the last couple months?
Well, the one that myself and Carol Camagno and Anthony Coppola just did, essentially it's on good deed doers. And the idea came from our Atlantic region features editor, Tammy Polino. And it's about how now more than ever, people need help. They need assistance. And what are some of the good deeds that people are doing out there that are kind of going above and beyond with interesting stories behind them? And the one that I did was actually the Unforgotten Haven and Michelle Gambone, because I wrote about them in the beginning of their existence. And they started when she found out about a family from Carney's Point. They were living in their minivan at a truck stop. And the woman was like 8 months pregnant, and she and her husband and their 4 children were living at this truck stop. And Michelle's heart went out to them and she wanted to find a way to help them. So she and her other Haven partner were helping homeless families on their own. And then Michelle went and she rented a barn in Deptford, and her intention was to house homeless people there. But when that part didn't work out, they started putting a lot of their donations into the barn, and the thing filled up quickly. And then they were able to get the building that they have now in Blackwood, and they've just done amazing work. So that was one of the stories. Anthony talked to a woman from the Vineland Vet Home who is a music therapist, and she does amazing work there every week with music therapy. And she started because her mom, I believe, had dementia, so that's how she got into that. And then Carol, who covers so many wonderful things for us, she spoke to a person who actually started Operation Yellow Ribbon, which is for vets, and they do all sorts of they give to all sorts of donation to veterans, and so we told those stories. So that was a favorite one at this time because it's so much needed. But some of the other ones that we've done, Phaedra Tretton did a story not too long ago about Shoes for Your Soul, a Pennsauken woman. She's originally from Camden. Yeah, that was a good one. And she collects new and used footwear, and they donate them to children in Camden because she's originally from Camden. And there's stories we've done on Cathedral Kitchen. They feed so many people, hundreds of thousands of people over the course of a year. Tammy's done a lot of those stories. And but the South Jersey Helper stories that we did back in the spring, there were a lot of great stories that came out of that one. And that's where I met Dave Cornwell, who's, on this broadcast. So, and he can talk more about that. But so those are some of the ones.
So it really feels like there's something for everyone, something that, if you have shoes around, you can donate shoes. If you have food in your pantry that's not expired and you're not going to eat it, there's food, there's toiletries, there's something for everybody. But I think COVID really created this twofold problem. It created a need, and it also created this issue of making us think differently about how we help. So I know there's rules about donating used clothing now, all to kind of keep us safe, cutting down on the group stuff. Dan, I know that your organization has been impacted by this. So tell us what Volunteers of America does and the impact COVID has had. I'm sure it has kind of that twofold thing that I was just talking about.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The interesting thing for us is that, as you know, Volunteers of America provides services to people that are homeless. We have a single adult homeless male facility. We also have a shelter exclusively for veterans. We're also operating a COVID positive unit on behalf of Camden County for folks that are COVID positive. So for us, homelessness, especially in the 5 shelters that we run, including the family shelters, has always been a very unique issue. And what's been amazing to me is the world sort of stopped for everyone in March of last year. As the pandemic geared up, we realized that you couldn't have the network of volunteers that we have participating and doing the kinds of things that they would normally do to support our programs and the people that we serve. So we had to come up with some really unique ways of supplementing what we do, because, as you know, organizations, charities like ours, always are looking for other sources of revenue, other sources of support in donations and things like that, to make sure that we can address the needs of the people that we serve. And what has been amazing to us is where the support has come from. I'll give you just 1 or 2 little examples. We have, as you know, as PPE, the personal protection equipment, became more and more difficult to find. It was amazing, the members of the community who came forth and saying that they know that we're working with people, the people that are in need, and that they know that we need PPE. So we were getting donations of PPE. Then there were 2 young ladies, 11 and 12 years old, who made us 500 masks. And that kind of stuff just blows our mind, because you're seeing that it does take a village. It does take a village to resolve the needs of people. And some folks have come up with all different kinds of opportunities for support for people that are in family shelters. who might need some support for the education transition that folks in the shelter have to go through. So they're donating laptops, or if not laptops, then iPads or Chromebooks. Those kinds of things have been very, very helpful for us to maintain the kind of support while keeping folks healthy, because we're doing the usual things that a service provider would do. The staff are masked and gloved and have face masks, and what we're doing is we're making sure that everyone has a face mask, everyone is sanitizing, so that the incidence of COVID in our facilities have been relatively very few, and because it's a cooperative kind of adventure, so for folks to make sure that we stay healthy and safe. So those are just a few of the little examples that we have of the things that we're doing.
So you mentioned masks. It's so strange to think that 8 months ago, a mask was, wearing it as often as we do now was such a foreign thing. And I remember that feeling, and it feels like a million years ago now, of like scrambling, like, where am I going to get a mask? Are they available? And now they've just become everyday things that we're matching to our outfits. Right. How quickly that changed. Wow. So what position are you in now with masks? You were saying you're pretty good.
We have been very good. There was a gentleman who donated 4,000 masks to us very recently.
Wow.
You don't know where they get them, because I'll tell you, the first order that we made for masks and for gloves, we ordered this tremendous number. It was $25,000 worth. I can't remember. And 2 days before the delivery was to come, we got notice from the provider that they couldn't send it to us because the federal government had taken their stockpile. So then here you are, you're an organization that's serving 13,000 people a year. You're now scrambling for the kinds of things that you need to make sure that you can keep not only the people that you serve safe, but the staff who is serving them. That's the other thing that we did. It got to be such an obsession that we decided to do a whole tribute to, everyone talks about the folks that are caregivers and how important that they are for the nurses, the doctors, the folks that are in assisted living and senior facilities. And that's like our staff. So what we did is we did a campaign called the Behind the Mask. And we did a little featurette of each of the people that work for us in very unique situations, very unique housing situations, or very unique program situations, where we could talk about this person behind the mask does this during the day. And that kind of stuff generated a lot of real enthusiasm from other folks to see exactly how can we help? How can we support you? And that for us has been the most delightful surprise of the pandemic that we've experienced. Like today, for example, there's a radiothon going on right now for our Adopt a Family program. We adopt anywhere between 900 and 1,000 families every time this time of year. And what's amazing to us is we also have put it online that we would like to have certain items available to us so that we can give them to families to support them. Well, we're getting Amazon trucks 3 and 4 times a day. It's been absolutely a delightful thing to see. The energy, the enthusiasm, getting calls saying, how can we help? Can we donate money? Can we donate this? Can we donate that? And that for us has been really, with all the negativity that's been existing in society, this to me has been one of the most exhilarating experiences we've ever seen, how folks have been passionately committed to wanting to make a difference in somebody's life, to help out somebody else who was in need, because they know that folks who are hourly workers have been the ones who have been impacted the most by losing their job. And they're doing whatever they can to support an organization like ours, who does outreach to families to make sure that we can make sure that they have the needs that they have just to survive on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. It seems like this time that we're living in has really spurred people to get into the business of charity, get into that if they never thought they would. Let's say if you're a carpenter in Clementon, like Dave. Dave, tell us about how you started thinking about the Friends of Clementon Food Pantry. Where did this idea come from? And give us, just like, brag a little bit about your success, I guess.
it fortunately is successful. I was driving back from one job site, and I saw on the side of the road there was a kind of like a bookshelf type library setup where you're able to, here's a can of food, grab a can, take a can. So I said, okay, so great idea. And I found out there was a guy in my town that it was a local home remodeler or whatever you may call it. He was selling his tools to be able to pay for food for his family. It broke my heart. So I posted April 25th of this year about starting, raising food. May 6th, we opened the doors, probably with 3 tons of food from the local grassroots residents of Clementon. And we were able to start off with that. Everything was Amazon, like Dan was saying. They stepped up. 3 weeks later, we became a 501c3 and alliance with Food Bank of South Jersey, which is huge. And we qualified for all the programs, the state programs, the TFAP, the federal programs, and also all the donated food. Right now, to date, we're probably around 34 tons of food so far, and we served over 10,000 people. And you'll see that I really pushed hard to have a big stock in anticipation for the future numbers coming down and coming out, and that there's much more outreach because what we're doing, and my numbers are growing substantially every week. We're open 2 days a week, Wednesday 5 to 7 and Saturday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And what's happening is the times are getting tougher. And when you have the criteria of what type of supplement are you on, EBT, SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, whatever assistance you are, unemployment. However, they fail to take in underemployment. When you have underemployment, you have a family that you lost your job. Now they're working at $12 an hour, whatever. They're working to try and because they're too humble to go on assistance. So now everything is in a tailspin. You have health, you have food insecurity, you have finances coming in to pay a bill, whatever it may be, to survive. When you start seeing this coming in and the underemployment adds on top of everything else, it gets worse. So when we start seeing the amount of numbers as they're increasing each week, then I'm having more people coming out that never, ever, their pride got in the way. And, they're a working family, and all of a sudden they're out of work. They have nothing. And I encourage them to come to me to the fact that, okay, you're not begging for food. We have food to give you. We want to help you. Save your money that you're buying on food to able to pay a bill, to live daily life as a comfort zone.
Right.
The one thing that comes into play, if you're on EBT, SNAP, or all that, what it doesn't cover is your personal products, hygiene, paper towels, cat food, dog food. People need their dogs. They need their cats. They have to be fed. So I'm able to reach out to Concord Pets. They stepped up. They give me they'll give me all open bags of food, which gets bagged and it goes to the animals, which is important. And then I just had a lady reach out to me in town, Clementon. She feeds 12 to 18 homeless at Lindenwood High Speed Line, which is it's mind-boggling. And Dan knows the numbers. She sees the numbers constantly.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you see the numbers, how they're increasing rapidly. Now, what happens, what I found is, one, the EBT and SNAP doesn't cover that. So I provide feminine product, toothpaste, toothbrushes, whatever I got, makeup I had donated. I give people bags of milk to give them a feel good about themselves. That's part of helping the mental health, which Dan, unfortunately, a lot of the homeless are suffering severely from mental health or addictions, and it's heartbreaking. That's what we're used to. Now it's even more than that. Now it's everyday people that prior to the pandemic were struggling, and then they weren't paying. And I know 2 families in town that were removed from their apartments 7 months ago, and they lived in a hotel where they were living off the son's Social Security because the father had passed away. It's not a way to live.
That's happening more and more.
It's happening more and more.
And home insecurity. People are unable to pay their rent,
The scariest thing for us is when the eviction moratorium ends. There are already 26,000 cases of eviction filed in New Jersey, just waiting for the moratorium to end. If you think you have a homeless problem now, it's going to be even worse. And that's why something has to be done, at least politically, to make sure that the supports are there to keep folks at home. You know, like one of the other examples that we had is we had a woman who was in our shelter who ended up in our shelter because she had a choice to make. And that choice was that she either had to work or she had to make sure that her daughter had education. So she decided to stay home instead of working to make sure that the education of her daughter was fulfilled. Okay, that cost her everything. The next thing you know, she's on the street. Next thing you know, she's in our shelter. And you know, we're getting folks to the point where right now they have to make those decisions. You know, as Dave said, whether it's food or whether it's rent, and folks should not be put in that kind of circumstance.
Never.
Yeah, another part of the story is to sort of piggyback what you're saying. We had our North Jersey partner, Jim Beckerman, did a story. The headline was about professionals, teachers, and executives are now, you know, a lot of the people that are coming to the pantries and the shelters and soup kitchens for help. And it really struck me because he said these shelters and pantries are getting double and triple the normal traffic that they would normally get. And there was a woman he wrote about. I think she goes regularly to a food pantry in Camden. She's a therapist, and her husband was out of work. She was a therapist having to go every week to get groceries from a pantry. And her husband, I think, had a good job previously, and her clientele was down because of COVID. And then she was celebrating one day because he had gotten a job at Wawa. I mean, these are some of the people now that need help that never needed help before. And, you know, there's some numbers out there about, you know, even prior to COVID, there were 135 million people worldwide that were food insecure. They said by the end of this year, which is not that long away, we should have another 130 million more added to that are food insecure. And that's worldwide. You're talking about like 260 million people. And a lot of these people were never food insecure before, you know, and that's what's really striking as well.
Can we just continue on that point? I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, Celeste, you're absolutely correct on that. I just was up at the food bank in South Jersey when I meet with the young lady, Emily, and I look for the numbers, which is important. So I can, you know, kind of project what I'll be looking at. And they're up this month 40% more than they were last year. 40% more. Now you picture they serve a large area of people. What we've been finding is not only issues where everybody thinks the cities fortunately are being focused on.
Yeah.
The problem right now is the suburbs. It's spread out. The city has it. The suburbs are dealing with it because you have families that are stressed out. They have 17, 18 legal age children that I can't afford you anymore. Get out. Now these kids are becoming homeless. I'm seeing that in our town. And, you know, because the families are stressed out, the monies are stressed out, everything is peaked out. Now they're homeless. Now you have this going on.
Is it like a new wave? Would you say there's like a new wave of homeless being created from that?
I got a feeling, yeah. I think Dan can attest to that.
He's absolutely correct.
Dan, do you expect of the 26,000 you said eviction filings that are waiting for the moratorium to end? Do you have any sense of, I know you're probably not prepared for this, but where they are in our state? Are they southern, northern? Is there any idea? Are they, do you happen to have any information about whether they're families or single people or?
They're both. They are both. We have a clinic, a legal clinic called Volunteer Up. And the purpose of the legal clinic is to help the people that we serve who don't have access to or will not have any access to legal support, to make sure that they can at least have a fair day in court, no matter what, if it's with their landlord or with child support or whatever it might be, so that they can be heard. And it's the attorneys that volunteer their time to support this clinic that are calling to our attention, seeing these numbers increase statewide. Of course, the majority of them, you can imagine, will be almost like north and south, 60-40 north and south. But, you know, if you take a look at just at our area alone, having in the greater Camden region, if you had 10,000 people that could be evicted, 20,000 people that could be evicted, what that's going to mean to the social services agency, what's that going to mean to to the hospitals and to other healthcare providers who now are going to have folks who are being more prone to being COVID positive, picking up other diseases and problems in the community. It's sort of like this, the longer you keep it, the greater it matures kind of thing. The longer the difficulty adds, the more and more problems you end up having. So food insecurity has been a issue for quite some time, and now it's even more amplified than it ever has been. And it was mentioned, Celeste mentioned earlier about the Cathedral Kitchen. The Cathedral Kitchen is our community partner. We have half a dozen facilities in the city of Camden, and our food provider is Cathedral Kitchen. But in addition to being our food provider, Cathedral Kitchen also provides training opportunities for the people that we serve. So it's more than a business relationship. It's almost like a human services commitment to making sure that we're going to have an impact together in dealing with the needs of people. And those are the kinds of things that are going to happen over the next several months. And if there's ever a stimulus package that comes out of Washington, it's going to have to be an investment back into the communities and into the states. The states can't endure this kind of joblessness, this kind of homelessness, this kind of food insecurity. You're going to create all kinds of different tangential problems as a result of that.
Hey, Celeste, on the question you asked about the numbers, I'm also on the board of another foundation called SpectraCare. It's for veterans. It's an equine therapy. It's I'm doing a satellite pantry for them. And what they did is the director, he is going for his PhD. He asked his professor if he could change his paper for this semester, and he did. And I will have actual factual numbers that the paper is on unemployment, the COVID-19, the food insecurity, and housing that he researched for the last 4 months of this semester that is coming out. He submitted at 9 o'clock last night, and his grade point was 110.82, which I guess is an A+ in my eyes. So I will be receiving that. I can forward it to you. It's all hard numbers that were compiled through Rutgers University. And I'm looking to take that. I can share it with you as well, Dan, because it'd be important to what, as a prepper, we need to prep what's coming up. And from when he said the numbers were mind-boggling, staggering. And what's happening is when you think your influential towns, Cherry Hill, Voorhees, Marlton, it doesn't discriminate. This pandemic didn't discriminate anywhere.
Exactly.
And it's tearing it up quite a bit. So with that coming out, one of the things I was trying to see, Dan, you might be interested in this. I talked to there was a freeholder that I work with in Camden County. And I said, I'm looking to set up a technology center within town, a satellite, like they have in New York. They have like these little pods of technology that people are able to go there and get Wi-Fi and connection. I had computers donated. I reached out to Camden County College for social work that are their experience in how to navigate the field of getting these people help. They tell us, well, just tell the people that are looking for help to go online. Now you understand the people that we're dealing with. Am I right, Dan?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, tell them to go online or call. So they don't have the ways or means.
Right.
So I'm trying desperately to set up a technology, even if I contacted Comcast. They weren't really warm and fuzzy about it. So I figured, okay, there's other ways around this. So in order to get laptop social workers to go where we know where these homeless are, to get them at least into the system, because Dan, you're so backed up right now with your log that it's and no financing, and it's something where we have to try getting help with these people. That way we know where they're at. We can have a little better a census, if you will, of what's going on. Because back in part of our town, we had 8 people living in this little tent city. I actually want two
I
of the
remember
guys.
you told me about that. Yep.
Yeah, and matter of fact, Dan, VOA was kind. It took three of the people out of the first time through Chief Winters at Pine Hill,
Sure.
and we were able to get them into housing right away. They lived in the woods for 8 months, and there were major medical issues, there was major mental issues, and 2 of the 3 are doing great. They're back with their family. They got help, but that was pre-pandemic. Now everybody's so tired. I mean, all of our services are stressed to the max. They're being shut down because of COVID, and the way to help them has been cut drastically. Dan's hands are tied because he has limited amount of space, he has limited amount of funds, and that's heartbreaking. And you wish that there'd be emergency relief somehow, some way for that, but that's down the pipeline. But in the meantime, we need to find something that can be work together with a group, whether it be Dan, myself, or other churches that I collaborate with. That we did a drop of 1,400 boxes, and we did a pinpoint drop. And I try setting that up. A pinpoint drop is where I'm putting 1,400. It was a apartment complex in Lindenwald, and very, very struggling. And we did 910 boxes of food there in a 3-hour period. It was wiped out. So that means there's a huge need, obviously. So that is one thing. And then I have a toy drive going on that I'm pinpointing and the needs of our town and about. So it's not getting any easier for anybody, as you well know. But I think volunteers have been stepping up and doing really, really well as far as they want to help. People want to help.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
They want to help and they need the help.
So
Yes.
this ingenuity of ideas that's coming about too in finding workarounds when COVID has put restrictions on what we can do. So, and I mean, it's not limited to professional people. I met yesterday a Morristown High School junior. She's a teenager who made the most of her time with her, I guess, shortened virtual school days in the spring and her whole summer. And she's built a website called genzchange.com. And she has like a social issue mission. I'm going to let her explain it in this video, but it has a social issue mission about Black Lives Matter, COVID-19, and its ripple effect impacts. But she also has I'm just like shocked and blown away by this. And her mom is shocked, but she's going to tell us in a video submission what she's working on, and it'll just blow your mind.
Okay.
My name is Ebony Geary, and I am a junior at Morristown High School. I created Gen Z Change during quarantine over the summer after being inspired by events like COVID-19 and the death of George Floyd. On my website, I focus on raising awareness on these issues to hopefully spark productive conversations in our society. I also focus on taking action, starting in local communities, like with my fundraiser, Trash to Treasure, where all the money goes to the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund.
Don't you wish that everyone had a child like her?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it illustrates how everybody can do something, right? Even if something very small or something large, everybody can do something.
So
Absolutely.
I will link to her website in the comments a little bit later on, but it is GEN, the letter Z, change.com. And she was telling me in an interview yesterday that she is collecting her classmates to be agents of change, she's calling them, and they meet on Zoom. I mean, it sounds like an army of awareness in South Jersey out of Morristown, but she's holding Zoom chats, forums for them to also talk about social issues. But so now her initiative right now through this is this Trash to Treasure. She told me that she is collecting donated clothing, selling them super cheap on her website, not keeping any of the money. So she's not going to buy a PlayStation or a new laptop. She's going to donate it to a UNICEF fund for COVID-19. So these are some ideas here. What do you guys think of this project?
I think it's amazing. And it kind of brings to mind a few years ago now, I did a story on couches for Camden, and it was a manager at the Wyndham Hotel in Mount Laurel. Instead of them throwing their furniture out, I guess every so often they get new furniture at the hotels. She decided to take it upon herself. Her and her husband would take the furniture, they would put it in a U-Haul and take it to Camden, and they would donate it to different nonprofits in Camden so people could have love seats and chairs and couches, and they were from hotels. I mean, and instead of throwing them away, which is what most people would do, that's what they did. And there's a way to, that's what this young lady is doing. She's saying that, you can turn things that some people may think it's trash, but for somebody to have a couch and a chair that they've never had,
Yeah.
or something else that she's doing is amazing. And
I'll tell you, hotel couches and chairs, very durable.
They're
They have to
durable,
withstand a lot
There's
of
those
abuse.
kind of ideas that I think, we were talking about. People can do small things. I think sometimes people get overwhelmed because they think about volunteerism and they think, oh my gosh, I don't have 5 days a week to volunteer, or I don't have any money to volunteer. But you can literally make toiletry bags. You can literally, get together with you and your family members and put some bags together and donate those, or take some food, to a pantry, because they're all in need right now. And I think I was telling you, Carly, about a young lady that emailed me the other day. Her name was Jen Bunk, and she volunteers with the Animal Adoption Center in Lindenwold. She said it's a small no-kill shelter. And she was emailing me because she's wondering if we could write something about them. And I told her I would try to mention them because she organized a drive for that shelter at her local fitness center. And I mean, it wasn't a big thing, but they were able to do a drive for this shelter and donate, because the animal shelters are in need right now too.
Oh, yeah.
Especially this time of year. And although a lot of them have gotten adopted during this time of COVID, which is great, a lot of them have not. So she did that. She took it upon herself to do that. So everybody can do their own part.
Hey, Celeste, onto that part, what could happen as well, if people are afraid of going out and afraid of social distancing or getting involved like that, we're in desperate need for people that have talents on social media. Social media gets us more able to extend the roots out a little bit more to get the word out.
Yeah.
And that are savvy enough on that to be able to work from home, put an hour, kids are very, very savvy with computers. That would be able to step up and help with, like setting up a online, like with my page. I don't have enough time to set up it's called Give Butter. It's a no fee charitable donation, which automatically releases all of our 501c3 right to the people donating. And it's so streamlined, but you need somebody that's savvy enough, and that would help with marketing per se. It sounds like a cold word, but to build a bigger network is the most important part that I see would be helping with whether a grassroots pantry like myself or Volunteers of America to help get assistance, whether it be whatever little necessity. Because Dan, when I first started, you first had gotten, they took it up to one female and 2 males. I had a volunteer take down produce that I had gotten from a pantry in Camden, and I distributed probably 40 boxes each to each place. And it was at least it was good fresh produce, and it was through a network. It's a network of people, and I think if we can get a little more involvement, that way we're keeping them safe at a keyboard length, if you will, and that they're able to work and work with our community pantries. There's there's Soul Cafe, there's Unforgotten Haven, and there's St. Vincent's. They're all they all say they're small. They're huge. They're huge because a lot of people in some areas, they don't drive. Lindenwold has and they walk to go get food, and it's heartbreaking. So that's why I try to do the pinpointing of the food to these areas in apartment complexes where they hit the most. That they don't have to worry about driving to get food. And again, like the volunteers, we can reach the Hispanic communities a little stronger. We can reach all the communities. That way we can get them get them decent food and to give them a little sense of comfort, and then be able to get to know them, to get their information, that we can get them services, is what the whole thing needs to be done.
So I'm just gonna go ahead.
Because if the counties don't realize what is out there, I mean, everybody's stressed. Every organization is stressed out.
Right.
If they don't know what's out there, it doesn't mean nothing to their numbers. But if they see the numbers increasing, then they have to do something. Mm-hmm. Then you have positive proof to go there and get funding.
I've been smiling through this conversation on and off, especially because, Dan, as you're talking, I can see Dave's brain going like, how can I assist with this? And as Dave's talking, Dan, you were like, wow, when you saw the photos of what he's doing. And I feel like this is the connection that really makes me happy. And I know Celeste, as a reporter, like this is why we do our jobs, to make sure we are connecting people here.
That's what it's all about.
And this really happens all the time, like page views and all that. It doesn't matter if good isn't coming from what we're writing. So I know Celeste has had folks, after she wrote about Dave, come to her and say, I need help. And
right before Thanksgiving, a woman, and even though we're not physically in the Courier Post offices right now because of COVID, somebody called me at the work number, and I do check my work voicemails, and she left a message. She said her family had been through so much tragedy lately, and she named all these different things, and she said that all she had for Thanksgiving dinner was a turkey, and she was hoping that she could get some help with some food. And she was from Clementon, oddly enough. So I immediately thought of Dave Cornwell, and I'm like, I gotta funnel her to him. Hopefully, maybe she'll reach out. I know he's going to reach out to her. I think that's kind of our job as journalists, is to be out in the community, be the eyes and ears. And when people reach out to us, if we can assist and if we can connect people and utilize our network to help people, then we should. And, in addition to telling the stories, we want to help connect people and to help people where we can. We can't get involved in every situation, but we can sort of like help provide resources, tell people these are the numbers you can call. Here's a website you can go to. And I think all of us, take our job seriously in that way.
We do.
We
do.
And it really is the little things. It's the little things that help out the most. Dave's idea of computer assistance means a lot to folks, especially when they're in a shelter, they don't have access to a computer, or they have to share a computer, and they don't have anybody to really walk them through the issues that they might have to deal with this particular class that they're getting online. It's little things like that. Or helping folks go through the resources with, you can do this remotely, helping them find resources for employment opportunities if there are benefit opportunities if there are any. Who are the people that you can contact or reach to for this particular type of service or that particular type of service? And those kinds of things are invaluable, especially for the people that we serve. And the people we serve really aren't the stereotype that you would think. These are everyday people who have lost everything. Once the unemployment issue hit, it's amazing the number of people that were thrown literally into the street because they had no means to support their lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. And so it's been eye-opening for them. It's been eye-opening for us, and it should be eye-opening to our society. I think that's why we have been so delighted to see so many people contributing online to make sure that there are diapers, there are underwear, there are socks, there are things like that, the little things that give folks, the kinds of self-confidence that they can just, they'll get through this, like Dave's idea of doing the little makeup kits. That's a great idea especially for single adult homeless women. It's a perfect gift for them.
Huge gift.
Yeah.
And product that goes with it, they don't have access to it. And the biggest thing that I've been seeing is, my numbers, again, it doesn't discriminate. Everybody thinks that it's the homeless. That they chose that or whatever. That's not the case. Nobody chose to be in any position like this, and it takes a village to help. And Celeste, when you read that article for me, that we grew amazing after that. And yes, I've reached out to everybody that Celeste had passed on to me, and I'll even share a little uplifting story if I can, real quick.
Please do.
Yesterday, I was talking to a young lady, and we were talking about the product that's not covered. And so this young lady says, "Oh, wait a minute." As I was talking to her, walked up into the attic and found a bunch of soap. As she's talking to me, her mind got in full gear, goes upstairs, gets soap, and says she wants to donate it. And you heard that chuckle. And the reason why I share that, it's a matter of the heart. She dug in her heart. And Carly, it's you, dear. I had to bring it up.
It is me. It's okay. I was on the phone with them, like, hold on, I'm going into the attic. And I found all these things I can bring over to this weekend.
Love and passion from people. That right there is just something that needed to be shared. And there's a person that took 3 minutes of her life to come out with and be able to provide soap of comfort. And that right there is, right now we have to focus on a lot of things. Is home insecurity, food insecurity, underemployment. There's waitresses, a lot of single moms in our town that are giving up, quitting. They're forced to give up work to take care of their to take care of it. You have to have double income this time of day. Now it's a single mom that has nothing. And when you come upon that, I just received a text when you were talking. There was a lady in town, lived in a hotel for 7 months, 7-year-old autistic boy we talked about, and that she's out of work because she had to take care of her son. So that being said, I passed her all the links that I had through Camden County, and the problem is she doesn't have she doesn't have cable, she doesn't have access. She has a phone, and the phone doesn't allow you to go on the government sites.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have to close out your windows to go back. You can't open Windows to process your information, and that's another huge problem because everybody says, well, they have a phone. Well, if you see most of your sites are secure, that they require a certain browser, and a lot of phones don't have it. So you add that into the mix, and that's why I'm been pushing with Camden County and to get a technology type center, or to get computers donated that are able to operate with that on their own Wi-Fi system, and so I can start building an infrastructure to help this lady out, this family out, one step at a time. And Dan, I would like to meet up with you and share a few ideas that we can both benefit by, thanks to Celeste and Carly, by bringing it together to help build this village. And I have a girl.
I'm happy about this. Yes.
Because VOA is a huge, wonderful foundation. It's just what they do. And then I know that tomorrow night I'm going to Lindenwood High Speed Line and expecting probably 12 homeless that Wawa donated me cups and cutlery, and I donated the food that we could provide hot meals for these people. And
awesome.
when you get into that and things that people don't realize behind the scenes, when you have homeless people, they get some of them get a stipend of money. The money goes for a hotel for a couple of nights. And unfortunately, there's addictions. So now you have that. And depending what the addiction is, what it does medically to the body, they wind up in hospital for 3 days to a week. Okay. And then I've been seeing proof of this. And so now they pay their monies for a hotel. Then the government pays a lot of money for a huge hotel instead of subsidizing VOA to help them have built bigger areas to shelter. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but it's just something I think about, that we're able to. A lot of them don't want help because of their addictions. They're afraid of getting sick. And Dan, you see that constantly, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter. Bottom line is they're human beings. We need to find a way to help this human being.
Agreed. So go ahead.
Oh, God, I'm good. Go ahead.
So I do have a question for you three experts in our room here. How do we know who's in need, especially with this transition of people who never thought they would be food insecure? How do we know who's in need right under our noses, maybe a neighbor or a family member in a different household? How do we know when it's time to reach out instead of just letting them struggle quietly? Where's this line here between, potentially insulting someone by, giving them some things? Like, how should any of us who are wondering, about the position of someone close to them, how do we approach this, or what should we do?
There's a couple of things I'd like you to think about.
Okay.
One of the most important things that I really think that we miss as a society and a culture is the whole idea of neighborhood. It's sort of become that our homes have become sort of isolated islands. And it's my hope that we have an opportunity to know the people who live next to us and people who live next to them, because that'll give you at least an entree to say to them, is there something that we can do to help? Are you doing okay? Is everyone at your house healthy? It's the little things like that. And you can't force yourself onto somebody, because they'll look at you like you're, really a little bit out of bounds here, because, I'm a private person and I want to be left alone. The other thing is to find folks who know other folks who can say to you, like Dave has indicated earlier, that can identify, I think you should talk to this family. This family seems to be in crisis right now. I've seen them at the food bank, or I've seen them here, and they look like they could use some help. And then that'll give us an entree. It won't hurt. We can at least say, is there something that we can do? Is some way we can be of assistance? How are you set for Christmas? You got something for the kids going? That kind of thing.
Well,
so
Dan,
it's about having conversations, getting to know people before you assume their position. Gotcha. Go ahead, Dave.
One big thing is we could take into account that your schools are your demographics in a lot of places, because their families, the children are right there. So the pulse is what I went for. Carrie, I think you said some areas are up 70% that require free or reduced meals.
I believe that Gloucester City, as of maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they have the St. Mary's Church Pantry, and they were telling me that the school district is about 74%, I believe, on free and reduced lunch. That might be an old stat. It might have gotten better.
Well, I wouldn't say unfortunately hasn't gotten better. We started at the pre-pandemic at 57%. Now we're at 69%.
Yeah.
What is that area? Is that Camden County?
Camden County, 540 some children in the school, and I think if we were able to come up with a more, I call it like a pinpoint, is what I'm trying to look at, instead of just a broad, because not every shoe fits every town. So I think if we do something like that my demographics are my school. I have three board members are teachers at that school, and their moms. You're not going to get any better nurturing than that. And they were able to, I'm hoping by the end of the week, provide me with the names and numbers that we're doing the toy and food drive, that they're getting a gift, not like they're begging for food. I don't want that stigma. I even let them know if they want to meet me, they contact me direct. I will meet them after hours, so they don't feel that, and I don't want them feeling embarrassed. I want them to have a comfort. And I give them all the proteins, everything, and then I give them junk food. Because moms need a piece of chocolate from time to time. They're going to get it. Right. And I that's something where I give them. I have junk food. I want to give it to them. I have snacks that are made for kids that have little snacks in there. Are they most healthiest? No. But you know what? A child needs to have something, a snack, a mom, especially single moms. A mom can say, "Here, honey," here. She just felt like she did something. Here, honey, here's a snack. Mom felt she had a purpose that wasn't stripped away because of this. And it's something where, if you look through the pictures, Carly, I said there's a bag of snacks, and in there,
I think we have that bag. We can put up here.
Yeah, so so it has no, go a couple more if you can. That's
one more.
See if you see there's Pop Tarts and stuff like that. There they are.
There it is.
That's
there we go.
You see there's popcorn. There's all
the important bag right there.
Yeah, and the reason why I do that is because I believe in this southern part of living where it's comfort food. Okay, it's not healthy, but it's comfort food, and
that's right. We all need that.
Yeah, we all need that. I mean, it's Dan. I'm sure you got I'm enjoy somewhere in that drawer at your desk. Say there we go. But it's just something where I put it into it so it's a mental uplift, not just a food. Here's your bag of food. See you later. And that right there is important. Like Dan has wonderful counsel. People that run his VOA in Camden, where the two boys were. They were kind. They were strict. They had to, and they were strict but fair. And that's the best way to run a business, especially dealing with what they're dealing with. And I commend you with the VOA because of that. They were great guys there. I think his name was Jamal. I forget his last name. I call him Mr. Jamal. Anyhow, he was very kind. And that's important because you're dealing with a lot of issues that you don't know what's going on in there. And that I thought was because you can have some very difficult people at times, but you don't know what they've been through.
Right.
So that's the biggest part.
My answer to your question, Carly, is to be approachable as a reporter, number one, and be observant. And because I've had people tell me things because they said they thought they could tell me, or I thought I could ask you this because you seem kind, or you seem like you would listen to what I had to say. So
we're not going to judge them in any way or break confidentiality.
Right, exactly. And that could be a friend of the family, or it could be a reader of ours. If they feel like they can approach you, then they will. And also just observing around you. And I've actually observed and said to people, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And sometimes people tell you that it is, and it really isn't. But sometimes they will admit to you that they need some help. That I'm struggling right now. I do need a little help. I didn't want to ask because I don't want to be a burden. I said, "You're not a burden," So, being approachable, being observant, and like I said, it never hurts to be kind because you could always be in that position. None of us. Some of the people that are rent insecure right now and food insecure right now, like we said earlier, last year this time they never imagined they would be where they're at now. So, they're by the grace of God. So, I just think you just have to be approachable and you have to be aware and observant.
The other thing you have is in communities, you have community godmothers. You have folks who really know those communities. And it's the establishment of the relationships with them, because they can tell you if Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so is having an issue, or if they have some needs. And that's one of the things about the city of Camden that we really enjoy is that, Camden is a series of different neighborhoods, and it is having the connections in those neighborhoods allow our outreach teams to go to the 10 cities that might be in that neighborhood. Or they will come to us with a list of families who they think should be part of our Adopt a Family program. There are several of those people and organizations and churches that would be more than willing to reach out and help, or solicit help for folks if they would be encouraged to do so. And I think that's one of the pieces of magic is the community members themselves, the faith community, the godmothers of the community, that kind of thing.
So I do just want to mention we're coming up on an hour, and there are a couple things that I don't want to miss out before we end our conversation. One is, if you are inspired by our conversation, make sure that you pick a little something to do. So we're going to come up with a couple more ideas, but I have some already. I do know that Cathedral Kitchen in Camden, they're accepting pre-made relief bags, meals and supply kind of kits. So they're looking for small tissue packets, bottled water, lip balm, facial wipes, hand warmers, sample size body wash, and sealed granola bars and trail mix. And some of those things are, you can get like multi-packs at a dollar store and make up, like a half dozen of them and send them off. And that could be something nice to be distributed there. And I also have a quick little story. Joanne Smithman, she's in Franklin Township in Gloucester County. She wrote me with her little idea. I'm going to play it up here. And she said, "We made a Thanksgiving dinner for a friend who is now a widow. She's by herself and had a FaceTime dinner with her sister. She was just going to buy turkey lunch meat. We sent her a full dinner, and she was so happy to share the photos with her sister. She even dressed up and made a special table setting. It makes you feel good to help make that day better for someone." So those are the little things that you can start to think about. Any other kind of final thoughts on, just getting somebody started? And even if it's January, February, March, till we have some vaccines and businesses start to reopen, what are some of our final thoughts on getting started, in addition to contributing to VOA, Volunteers of America, and also the Friends of Clementon Food Pantry?
Well, I'd like to suggest that folks just go on the website. They'll see a list of needs that we have as an organization, not for us, but for those who we serve. If those are of interest, anything that you could do to help support that. There's also opportunities for you to participate in various different other kind of remote volunteer experiences. We can identify families who are in need, who would need special support, especially if since we're doing our adopt a family now. So if those kinds of things would help folks, I would like to encourage them to go on voadv.org, and you'll see a whole list of different kinds of things and programs to choose from, whether it be family shelters, single adult shelters, the veterans shelter, or whatever it might be.
I was going to say just do something small, and maybe even start off saying, I'm going to do one thing a month to help, whether it's help at a local animal shelter, donate something there. For me, that would be something I would definitely do. I had a dog for many years, and I know animal shelters are in need, and I would consider doing something like that, especially helping, the place where he used to go. So, and also, I really do feel that those small care packages that you were referring to, that they're very, very important.
Yes.
Bar of soap, like you said, toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that a lot of us take for granted. A lot of them do not have. A clean pair of socks is very important. So getting, one care package or two care packages a month together and say, I'm going to take them to my, local shelter. I mean, that's something, it might seem very small, but it might help 2 or 3 people,
Exactly.
Small
Clean and dry socks. Dry socks.
Clean. Like I'm thinking of like a brand new pair of socks.
Right? Yeah.
A brand new pair of clean socks, yes, and dry.
I found random acts of kindness are wonderful. What I had done with a couple people, I had randomly, I knew who they were, and they were too proud to come up. I randomly mailed them a gift card to a local, like a ShopRite or wherever it was, and I was able to negotiate the 10% extra because it was for food, and they gave me 10% on a $25 gift card. So that's not bad, It helped. So, and I'll randomly just send them a gift card of that they can go to ShopRite, they can go somewhere, and people say, well, they're going to buy cigarettes with it. They're going to buy it no matter what. And if you can't stop that, you're not going to stop that, or can't be cynical about it. But you have to be able to at least. 25 here, 25 there works for me. Even with a Wawa gift card, they can go buy a cup of coffee. That gives them comfort, and so that's one way of starting, and it keeps you safe from, if you're feeling comfortable volunteering or stuff like that, or like Dan said, go onto the website. And there's lists that you can do. I believe our website or the Facebook page has a wish list of stuff. And I get a lot of food that way. Kind of bothers me that they're paying retail price when if it was if it was a gift card, I can buy at a wholesale price. And but at least they're helping. People want to help. Whether it be the smallest thing ever. Last night I had a client come in for food, and she was given a gift, what it was, and she wouldn't take my food until I took the gift because she wanted to give back. So that's what you're dealing with, and people want to, they need to, and not that tell them they need to within their heart that they helped out.
Well,
as
you said, Carly, something Dave said triggered something for me. I don't think we can no longer be judgmental about people. The old Native American saying, you don't criticize a man until you walked a mile in their moccasins. You don't know what people are experiencing and what they're enduring. Let's be less judgmental, and let's just provide comfort, friendship, and love, and some support. And guess what happens? Folks appreciate that. And Dave just gave you a living example of what happens when that happens. That what you get back in return may be something that is very important to them, just to give him a gift, just to say thanks. That kind of stuff just really blows us away when one of the people that we serve does that. It just makes what we're all about. Just warms that little spot in your heart that just gives you, really, this is what I'm meant to do all of my life.
Well, this whole conversation has warmed a little spot of my heart today. I have so enjoyed this conversation with the three of you. Thank you so much for joining me, sharing your expertise, your ideas, your knowledge of our area, and really, your heart for the rest of us. Thank you so much. You can follow up on this conversation by becoming an NJ Press Pass Insider. It is our free group on Facebook. I will link to that group. I will link to the DOA, the Clementon Food Pantry, and put together a list of the ideas that we came up with and some of the ways that we've talked about that you can help your community. As always, I'm happy to share my press pass with you, especially if it's going to make some connections like we've made today. Because on NJ Press Pass, I'm always asking your questions, South Jersey. So stay curious. Thank you. That's our show.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Be well. Be safe.
Bye.